Earlier this month, I visited the Seattle headquarters of Go2Net, a company that's proving that latecomers to the industry can prosper and even profit. In one critical respect, Go2Net's Russell Horowitz doesn't talk like an internet company CEO.
Ultimately, I think it's important to understand that any business needs to end up delivering bottom-line profits.
What was that? Something about profits?
Any business needs to end up delivering bottom-line profits. And whether that means next quarter or whether it means a couple years from now, the key is to have visibility and ultimately understand where your business does deliver a return on the overall investment that's made into it.
Go2Net was founded in 1996, well behind competitors like Yahoo and America Online.
We came onto the web late 96, early 97. And that was 2 to 3 years later than some of the first movers. And in this industry, people generally characterize 2 to 3 years as being the equivalent of decades by most industry standards.
Horowitz and Go2Net's co-founder know each other from the Lakeside School, alma mater to two other Seattle giants, Bill Gates and Paul Allen.
They say, what's in the water out there?
Go2Net had a modest $13 million IPO in April 1997. That cash, plus a steadily mounting stock price, allowed it to acquire a series of relatively cheap but growing websites. Search engine Metacrawler in 1997. Online game host PlaySite, $750,000. For $33 million, Silicon Investor in '98, and small business service provider Hypermart, $4 million. And then, just 17 months after its IPO, it did something internet companies aren't supposed to do. It delivered a profitable quarter.
Go2Net gained 9 3/4. The internet technology company reported an operating profit instead of a loss that Wall Street expected.
That's nothing special in the world of bricks and mortar, but an extraordinary achievement in an industry that prides itself on burn rate. That's the speed with which it can spend other people's money. It was a wake-up call to investors.
We were able to grow much faster than our competition, and we have been the fastest growing of all the major web networks over the last 18 months.
Despite that growth, Horowitz knows Go2Net needs to be ready for a correction. You're planted in the old economy, like it or not, and if the old economy goes through an old-fashioned recession, what happens to you?
In a recession, advertising's a cyclical industry, and you're going to see a downturn. We as a company from the beginning have felt that it's very important to have balanced revenue streams. Our goal is that half of our revenue streams by the end of 2000 will come from non-ad sources. In the most recent quarter, it was 38%, which was up from 20% in fiscal '98. So we're on course.
More than that, Horowitz knows that when the shakeout comes, Go2Net won't survive if it remains nothing more than a web portal. Where then does he want his company to go? Paul Allen's Vulcan Ventures provided an answer.
Allen is making a relatively rare all-cash offer for Go2Net. Many of the big internet deals recently have been stock swaps.
Allen was looking for a vehicle that could provide content to his growing broadband cable empire. Horowitz knew Go2Net could deliver the programming Allen would ultimately need. To Horowitz, Go2Net could not exist outside the new economy, and what's true for his company is true for his 330 employees. Did you drive, to some degree, your corporate culture internally, using equity as a reward for your people who work for you?
It's critical. The whole concept that everybody's an owner, in this industry more than anything is key. You can reinforce it with words, you can tell people they're important, but ultimately they deserve to share in the value they create.
Was there a moment that you can remember, going some way back now, when it suddenly occurred to you, for whatever reason, this internet is a really big deal?
I have a distinct memory, and it was shortly after Netscape had gone public. There was a distinct moment where I remember that this looked like, the way I characterize it, it was going to be the most significant industry probably of my lifetime.
Netscape made a lot of people very rich very fast. But Horowitz, who hasn't sold a single share of his $350 million stake, says it's not the money that should motivate.
The thing that I talk about internally is, when we have success, enjoy it, but don't let it define you in a way that you're going to become complacent. And when things aren't going well, don't let it define you either. Ultimately, successful people aren't going to be defined by their circumstances at any given moment. If you've got a vision, you've got to be true to it, and you've got to see it through.
Yes, vision is important, but so is money. Go2Net expects to add 200 more employees in the coming months. Each will receive stock options in varying amounts. Go2Net, which closed today at 87 7/8, is up 4,300% since its IPO 32 months ago.